Supports. That endangered animal in Genshin Impact that every time one comes out. New, we are afraid that it can break the goal and all the characters of the game, Ori. That can be a discard for as long as it does not bring anything like poor Sigewin. Little did I upload the Genshin Impact DPS list, which is over here on screen, and we loved it. Thank you so much for the support. And today we are going to see the top 10 supports of Genshin Impact with a very important clarification, and it is every position in this top 10 I have tried that each character clings in a fairly realistic and objective way to the position that corresponds to him and you. I'll explain why. I mean, for many people, the characters that can be hostile between the top 3 and the top 7 will say good, because there will be a few supports there without a specific order. For in this case, the 10 places that I will give you with some bonus track and honorary position have Zenz, and I will explain why, for example, Citlali is in a certain position below or above of some other character exactly because he plays a role or because he contributes something in particular more or less in comparison to another character accounts in general. And for this I have also had a little more in all characters the Chiro and the overall construction of most players. That the constellations they may have, especially because there are 4 stars and there are some neat Yokis, but maybe some others aren't there because the position is the 10 are too tight as top. So leave a good like, a good ulti divine, subscribe, leave a good comment too. The algorithm. Thanks for enjoying and watching the video on the channel. Thanks for all the love and support. Remember that it costs you nothing, it is free, recommends and positions the video. Thanks for everything really, and remember that I can thank you once a day with a blessing draw just for commenting. Give like and subscribe with bell to the channel. Enjoy if you are eating, welcome. And invited to the directs. Remember, let me in the comments if you're eating, that you're eating. What do you do while you watch the videos? And remember to go check out the videos you haven't seen for Z, who is the winner of the blessing. I usually enter 3 or 4 days, enter, give pa. And then another 3 or 4 days calmly, so check all the videos. Let us go with top 10 of the best supports of Genshin Impact. Well, I would also like to say how I always make 1,000 videos criticizing what I do, that all people who want to make a video talking about me, using my face, the title of, which is a title with my name or anything from the channel as it is, stunks at the end, who at least undertakes to circumvent a lunar blessing and contributes something to the community apart from getting hooked on what the title is, the stunks or whatever it is that gives you talk. So if anyone is going to talk about me, you demand it in the comments of what? If you don't draw or give away anything by talking about me without my permission, then I pay the consequences of not at least giving a small tax and to contribute something to the community. Demand it really, but people stop talking about it. Now we're going with this top 10. Well, the top 10 is a triple shared position that I basically wanted to introduce the 3 characters in the top, but if I didn't introduce these 3 characters in some way, literally one would stay out and it wouldn't seem fair to me that. Enter the top 10 today. So the first top 10 is a kind of small bonus track with 3 characters that the 3 could categorize as top 10 of today's best supports of a Genshin Impact, and it's Baiju, Chevrus and Sion.
Huh?
It's literally 3 healers plus mechanics. Specific individuals in the case of descending Cyanyon, Baiju Dendro reactions Inu, General and Chevrus the overloads, but all in turn are very strong, and specifically Baiju and Cyanyon being 5 stars are less specific than Chevrus. Chevrus has its own good things also for playing at minimum and full 4-star teams. Baiju has the versatility of being able to play on infinite teams to the point of being as good as Endro, and as a healer you have come to play in Novelet teams without really forcing yourself to. Dendro mechanics as such only by heating, and then Cyanyon on the other hand more of the same. Out of the downhills can be played as healer, Anemo, Dragon Hunter, and Battery. Team in Permafrost teams, which is the best in slot. Although you cannot play much, as in Violet teams as here playing the same role as Baiju, and in some, even if there is no Dragon Hunter, slightly better because it will bring you the green shade and change the other character, one by official or a Bidu, to make electro-charged, and in the end it is versatile, so the top 10 plus Xeonium has been long gone, and I think that there are so many people who are waiting for a Xeonion's return as he has not yet had Raran, and has high sales expectations. Xianyun, Chevrus, and Baiju Dai. I'm the fuckers here where people are already going to start with knives. Xingqiu and Yelan. Xingqiu and Yelan will say, but so short. Xingqiu and Yelan, yes, because today Xingqiu and Yelan are too. Characters that are used to complete the double hydros, but on any team where the individual shape you want to play a hydro, there is a best in slot that of course is above, and in fact, it will come very soon to the banner. It is possible to comment that it is in the thumbnail of this video. Still, don't send to do the miniature because as you can see there's a lot of work ahead of the channel, but maybe it's in the miniature. You know the characters talking, but Xingqiu and Yelan are two characters that today, if you play a single hydro individually, you play this other character, and Xingqiu and Yelan, what they do is complement you to be able to play a second team. Furina, I'm going to say it because if not, everyone will say it. Profile, if it's Fiorina, you're gonna cheat. If we all know it's Fiorina, don't get interesting. It's Fiorina, and it's not only a secondary hydro for when you don't have Fiorina on some team, but that if Fiorina goes on a team with some character who doesn't apply enough as Hu Tao can be, use say Xingqiu and Yelan as a complement to the double hydro to be able to do more damage, especially Yelan, and complement the application that was missing to make the chain of reactions real. So that Xingqiu and Yelan are basically subvariants of Fiorina today. Yelan is more individual. DPS less defensive and is a 5-star, and Jingu is a more affordable 4-star character for new accounts, and that saves a lot of people, but it is also that finally the combination of I think you all know her basically being able to play a double team hydro, either a Pipa Bluma Hu Tao team, or even some Alakino team, and on the other team play the Hydro. Remaining hydros are still very important and have never lost importance. Despite the existence of Yelan and Fiorina, they are not higher, and now I explain to you why. For existence of another character that also gives you the option to release a Fiorina, and in addition to enable you reaction and a very important mechanics to this day, if there was not this other character, these two, Yelan and Jingu would literally be in the top 5 and not in the top 9, top 8. Xiangling and Mavuika as well. They're here because basically while Mavuika is a Xiangling 5 stars officially Xianglin, there are concrete situations where it does best, especially if Mavuika doesn't have the cone, and I said she was going to count on the Chero as a matter of priority that Mavuika C2 then bursts everything that it does. Xiangling in every case, but not everyone has Mavuika C2. Leave me in the comments who has the privilege of counting or enjoying a Mavuika C2. And really, if we talk about the Chero and of specific situations, as I say, are distributed almost to 50-50, but the best thing is that just like Yelan and Xingu, you can have two Xiangling bar Mavuika, i.e. you can play the current top of the list of meta teams talking about supports that are Kaini and Chimiulani with Mavuika, and then you have a Xiangling for the rest of the teams like Raiden National or the Tartus team that still people like who main Tartus is, or if you want to play the same Kini and Chimiulani. At the same time in the Abyss, as you have a Mavuika for one of them, and a Xiangling for another of them are sub-DPS. The two of them do a lot of damage outside the field, as for example, Yelan does too, but more in this case because they're both reacting out of the field. And above all, they are also supports, because both Bufan quite the Xiangling team gives 10% attack. Who collects the Wova, reduces the pyro resistances by 15% that benefits right now, and the rest of pyros of the team, and increases 15% of damage pyro also of the team. And on the other hand, Mavuika gives the character in field a 40% inflicted damage that then decreases over time up to 20%. The first 10 seconds, this is the normal rotation from which a carry B10-12 benefits. Seconds in the field, and then apart with constellations, you already know that the AC reduces the defense by 20%. The enemy's SC0 gives 40% of bonus elemental damage if you go with the parchment set. That is to say, really, Mavuika also has as Xiangling many contributions as support. Apart from the brutal damage that they do both out of the field, and finally Mavuka, because you know that he can always nuke his ulti, though. Play on a team outside the field and on teams like Mualani or Kini. You can vaporize them. Benefit from sudden buff auras on Kini's team in the specific case of damage inflicted by. On a Kini team then, take number 8. Not only Xiangling Mavuika, but here is the explanation of why above Xingqiu Yellen, because they are sub-DPS in the case of neat play stands, in which many times they are the character that does the most damage to their teams. Being out of the field not only enable but are DPS, but out of the field, i.e. a sub. DPS, next the number 7 and 6 tops are feedback and basically enable theft. The last 2 years and at the last chasms have also been one of the most repeated. Played more stable directed damage and especially more free-to-plays, which are the hyper blooms in the high. Put number 7. I'm going to put Kuki not only for being a 4 stars, not only for being the character who does the most damage on their teams, because it is she who exploits the hyper blooms not only by have better construction and ease than Xiangling and Mavuika, but above all because Kuki is only 4 stars to 0 if friends to 0 if Xiangling needs his C4 to really shine, and Mavuika are 5 stars can enable you all this, and you will say good then. The top number 6. It's easy to deduce because they're snagged, I say there, because now comes surprise, because it's not just a but I haven't put Kuki higher because the hyper blooms I planted this from the next form. If there is a hyper bloom without Kuki, but there is no hyper bloom without Najida Chero, be best in slot, then Najida is much more necessary. Apart from that, Kuki is practically limited to today. And only to play hyper bloom, and Najida can still be played in other team combinations like Agravitas Pur as burn, even as for example being support of Mualani next to Xiangling to give in addition 250 mastery Mualani, who vaporizes all the blows, and in the end, Xiangling at the Najida end is not only an archontic lettuce, but also versatile Thi. Uipa bloom teams would not exist without Najida, and Najida is the best in slot in all but Thi. Pair bloom teams can be played without Kuki because there are hyper bloom teams with A. Carries Electro as maybe Claudine of Raiden's own, Sethos, the own bot, and some others. Combinations without taking Kuki, so top number 7 Kuki, plus talking minimums to Chero. Being a 4 star, the famous hyper bloom teams of the most played and most rotational damage with minimal investments in Genshin impact accounts, and above top number 5, no top number 6, sorry because the Kuki was 7, the top number 6 Najida, but here comes nuance. Najida shares this number 6 position with Emily. Emily is an extremely important character. In accounts where Emily is not Najida, even if it does less ticks and less damage, can do the role of a Dendro Applicator out of the field, being better than the Traveler, and also me have a cooldown of 20, cooldown Kurto of 15, with full uptime, i.e. the famous Archon cooldown to be fair. Second inside after the most important Najida of the game, and that it enables all the teams possible in the helm from within in case of not having Najida or wanting to have another inside in another team. But is that also Emily today is also best in slot of the burns to play with both Mualani and Kinich, who have spectacularly high ceilings and are of the most powerful carries and equipments of the game power clip of NATLAN, and also on the team of Kinich releases your Fiorina, and Fiorina, I think you're realizing that today, and like Zoe is one of the characters, not to say in my opinion the most important character today from games and impact, and it's going to reflect on this top 10. So top number 6 shared Najida and Emily. Najida, most important, most versatile Archonte lettuce. Emily plugin in a support, also very strong, but also with its limitations. We enter the top number 5 all. These characters that are above enable you and improve everything that is below in a way. More efficient, more powerful, much more powerful. And above all, are characters that have complicated being replaced. No one does it better than the characters who are in the top 5, and that's why they're above all who are below, as I explained without that, and a B have could be above. But there are characters that do it better, and this is going to reflect here the top number 5 as odd. Look, and as specific as the character may sound, we have a celebrity. Celebrity is the top 5 current of best game supports for 2 things that are very simple but make them very. Well, number 1, she is spectacularly limited and could be compared to If and June with I. The descending ones, not because Citillery is only for melted, the theme of melt is that it implies, improves and has synergy with most pyro cars from games and impact, and the most repeated archetype in the game are literally carries of the pyro element. Not only that, but it interacts perfectly. If we take the 12 or 13 pyro carries that there are with the top 6 currently interacts with it. Mavuika with Alikino, with gaming with Hutao, on some strange occasion with Line. And if you play it very well, but it's very complicated and so on, talking about the best cars in the game, Pyro and A. With Diluc to Descendings also allows you to melt the Descendings of Diluc. And May. Diluc has a good team of Citizenry and Joan Bennett, but it's a small replica of gaming. Basically, but worse, and not only that is the first function, that even if limited makes I perfectly and has synergy with this archetype, which is the most repeated of games in impact and which has 2 of the 3 best carries of the game, with which here point of importance, but also Citizenry releases you a Fiorina Citillery, this that we have commented on Emily de Shinkiwi of Yelani. Of other characters that is very important, Citillery also does, and not only does it well, but that makes it best celebrity, improve Fiorina in downing teams from gaming, and in some combinations. In others you can also play even with Fiorina, specifically with Arlecchino, who does not break the frozen one by jumping an icebreaker and screwing up the team's rotation, and that makes you not just, like I say, give you a free Fiorina that is the best support of the game I make you. Now spoiler, but do better work than Fiorina herself, enabling you to melt with all. So many carries Pyro, making that blow by 2, is improving 50% the reaction. The cone damage inflicted on the Dragon Hunter, or with constellations. Proper to masters or C2, but this I said I was going to take the least into account in this video. So today, even if he does less and specifically does better, he's the best character. That releases Fiorina in an incredible amount of equipment, especially with carries Pyro, and is the Pyro carry support today, which is the most repeated archetype in the game. Top number 5. Citillery top number 4. This character dearly loved by all, and who appeared in the past in the best Genshin Impact teams on 8 of the top 10 teams virtually without counting the equipment. Geo and Inside, and of those who cannot react today, suffering power. Creep remembers the great video and all comparisons on all the social networks that Shilongan was the power. Creep of Kazuha as today is the best team of the game, has Shilongan and not Kazuha, which is Mavuika's team. The second best team in the game has both novelettes, Kazuha plus Shilonen, and then Arlecchino. His variant of Fiorina Kazuha Bennett is fine, but variant of citizenship Fiorina Shilonen discards. Kazuha, the variant of gaming, does not have Kazuha. And Kinnish Mualani teams in their 3 best variants don't have Kazuha and not Mualani. You don't play with Kazuha. I've seen a lot of people playing Mualani with Kazuha to put the shadow in. Rare green, but the green shadow lasts 8 seconds, and in what you throw the first ulti and the first Mortis, that being the green shadow of Mualani, not played with Kazuha. I'm so sorry, no foresees that rotation because it's very rare. And it's just because you want to play it because you think Kazuha. It's so good, but as Alani is not, Kazuha is the top 4 best Genshin Impact support, Sue. Feel a little roast to poor Kazuha, but it is true that Shilonen has improved everything that Kazuha still does, so Kazuha keeps appearing in the best of Arlecchino, in the best of Neuville. Remains an incredibly powerful option for many other characters, still being best of the Permafrost, even if not used very much, do not Permafrost. Not because Permafrost is Yanyon with Fiorina. I'm wrong here, but you're still an amazing alternative to a lot of equipment and so many counts mid and early that are starting Kazuha. I don't think it looks like it has in the future one of a displacement and literally take it from the root of the goal, but is going to always keep very strong, and it really is true that your only limitation is that your buffs last 10 and 8 seconds respectively, with which it is a little limited, but it is true that every time. More Genshin is pulling towards rotations closer to 15 seconds, i.e. Archontic cooldowns that I always explain, and that with Kazuha will always benefit, and always you're going to have a place to play, so the top number 4 stands today, Kazuha top. Number 3 of Genshin Impact, Shilonen's best supports. Let's not just talk about the second ago. Let's talk about not only doing what Kazuha does, but also curing, and that his buffos that are. Instead of 10, the low resistance lasts 15, and instead of 8, the elemental damage bonus lasts 20 seconds. And cure, so basically, if you baby it in the end after so long, you'd tell me to leave. Here in the comments when you lived, and let's say that war of memes that if I do, Kazuha. As you think it would have been in a few years, after a few years, a few months later, and surely...
Huh?
In the chat, in the comments, the end is a time traveler has said a few years after that. I'm wrong, man, if it's a better Kazuha in every respect, and then if we talk about the C2 out of curiosity, Kazuha gives you 200 master's degree to the entire team, and to himself that is 8 more than you. Bonus elemental damage to yourself for the team, and 200 masters for reactions. But if you baby, what it does is 45% life to the Hydro's 45% attack to the Pyro's 50 damage. Inflicted to the Geos 60 years, critical to the Cryos, and you play it in Permafrost Shilonen, you can. Play C2 in Permafrost perfectly, then well Shilonen ends up giving my edit, but yes, we're talking about Chero is still better Kazuha, top number 2. Here no more surprise, gentlemen. That comes to me up to this point of the video. Celebrate the comments, enjoy, and here all I go. To tell you that blessed is the day that a 5-star Bennett arrives, because it will break the... Literally the only characters who still need their 5-star version to come out. It's Bennett and Kuki the day Bennett comes out, and Kuki 5 stars is going to shake everything. Engine impact and all the equipment combination, but at the same time with a Bennett 5 stars, come on. To enjoy a lot, because in several teams we need 2 Bennetts is very complicated. Play a team of Alekino and at the same time a team of Gaming or a team of Mavueka, and a team of Mavueka, Alekino or a team of Quinish and a team other than, for example, Alekino, Mavueka or Gaming. Because they all share Bennett, there are certain characters that can already be rotated or duplicated. Quinish and play Emily Jiangling, and you get free a Fiorina and a Mavueka for another team. And the same with Gaming, that you can play Shanyong Sidley, and then separate and play Alekino. Kazuha Furina, but you can't share Bennett between the 2 teams, but today the second. Better game support literally appearing on 3 of the top 5 teams in the game if we do not take into account Mualani and Novelet, Alekino, Mavueka, Quinish Gaming, and an infinite series of best teams today like Navia, Chlorine, Raiden. We have the best support. Insurmountable to Mr. 4 stars of bad luck to the Lord of the A. Ching's discard that there are still people who after many years are not clear about the issue. I'll tell you the truth. It doesn't hurt anything or anyone who really does. Mind the gentleman, if he's cool, imagines that now the second best support of the game is...
Huh?
If it's cool Candace, not on his Candace team or so, not the Veneto, Sir Veneto, sir. Venancio the Primordial Dragon Lord coming from NATLAN, or at least we all want it. Waiting for the fan service to bring us a Bennett mission and explain the origins of Bennett in NATLAN, and that is a primordial hidden dragon. If gentleman top number 2 is Bennett not, there's nothing to say. This gentleman is still shutting his mouth after so long, and a reference or better said a great honor to the packing off, because packing off was one of the first stops in insisting that Bennett was Jesus Christ, and I think he's got a video from back then. I don't know if 3 years and saying hello to your God Bennett is Jesus Christ, or something like that. He's probably a An honorary moment and a great respect for packing off that brought us all this. And if Bennett is the second best support of the game today, ladies, gentlemen, for no one is surprised and therefore top number one of the best games in Impact supports, and I think the best general character. Games in Impact, in my opinion, next to Mavuika, as Mavuika can be carry and supported time, and that is a value that does not have today any character except Bennett can. To be a good carry, also Fiorina is also going to come now, is a good timing for this video because Fiorina is already confirmed for the banners of 5.4. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, Fiorina, I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know, is a character that gives 100% damage inflicted on the entire team, and besides not being attacked like Bennett, but being harm inflicted has synergy with all the Vey characters of the game, unlike Bennett who nubileti moalani as they go alive. Not only that, but she has the potential to be the best sub DPS next to Mavuika in the game because her climbing of gross damage without making reactions is even higher than that of Yelland, but she can do reverse vaporized outside the field of a burn if the vaporized ones are made by the hydro. Plus it's 1/2 damage isn't by 1.5, if it's like the pyro would then she's got the potential to be, as I say, the most powerful sub DPS of the game in reverse vaporized about burn, or as gross damage outside the field with normal scaling, and then apart in some time teams, mainly Molanis U, change the elemental to heating mode, and practically it's kind of Bennett that gives you the heating of his elementary healing mode skill, and gives you a percent equally harm inflicted on equipment that you can actually activate on all teams anyway possible when it's C2, but when it's Chero you can reach 80% damage inflicted and cost you a little more if you don't have overheating on the team, is to say character that heals you a lot, but still all this can do perfectly to Chero, and besides, you can take Favonius to have power for the team that's already another madness is a battery. Extra for the team so that everyone has permuted. The reality is that I won't talk much more about Fiorina because you all know what there is, but I can tell you an anecdote. Darkrai Kulathi, famous and funnel Darkrai cool of the anime community, you know that now is playing Genshin Impact. This whole story came because in Fiorina's first RAM, if I remember correctly, in that physical event, and that we were a lot of creators who invited us thanks to all the affection and support and all the Fiorina because he was interested in seeing what Genshin and so on was about. After this Fiorina Mr. Darkrai Mola just videated Genshin Impact and is doing streams and direct from Genshin Impact, so also go to see him and send a greeting from me. Say Darkrai out there. How is Fiorina? And not only that, but I think he's pretty into Genshin and next to me and next to Kaitaro too, so that you yourselves can shoot live, but not. March 28th and 30th in Spain. For those of you who are from Spain, I will give more data on these quiet days that since you see this video, there are 2 months left for the event. But I will be warning in all the videos, and ladies and gentlemen, after this anecdote and that, I hope let's see in person, because the first time I was very excited to meet many of you in it. Person, this is the top 10 of the best Genshin Impact supports. Thanks for getting to the finally leave a good like a good old me and all this to support that it costs us nothing to take care. And lot to have very good day and bye.